Yo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let's move this over a little bit. How's everybody doing? It's Friday evening. At least I'm pretty sure it is. We're just hanging out as usual. Homer Simpson. Studying for school? Cool. I'm doing well. I actually had a somewhat productive day. I ran a bunch of errands earlier, went to the store, cleaned up the kitchen a little bit. And now we're just chilling. Frederick Schultz, what's up? Assuming you had the... Wait, hold on a second. The chat wasn't on. Assuming you have the drive and resources and could become an expert in one specific time/place in history, what would it be? Time and place in history? I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about that. I don't know if there's any like specific time. I think in general, I can't think of anything specific, but in general, I don't know a lot about like Asian culture and Asian history, and I think it would be cool if I knew more about that. But I don't know, like I wouldn't even know where to begin in terms of specifics. But I don't really know that much about history in general, I guess. But you know, outside of like the basic stuff that everybody was taught in grade school. But I definitely don't know anything about like Asian history. Like South Asian, East Asian, I really don't know much about it at all. What am I eating tonight? Probably I'm not sure. I have some chicken thighs and some spinach. I'll probably eat that. I do like meal prep. So I kind of eat the same collection of things all the time, but I have to kind of choose which of the things that I will eat. Also, you know, sometimes I just make like a PB&J. And I might still do that. I might have a PB&J before bed. But for actual dinner, probably some chicken thighs. Did I attend school in NYC? Nope. Why did you specifically say NYC? Do I play horror video games? If yes, any recommendations? I don't really play horror video games. I used to play them when I was a kid. I don't play a lot of video games in general. Like, usually I will become fixated on like one game and just play only that for like 5 years. But like in terms of like keeping up with all the games that come out, I don't really do that. But when I was a kid, I used to love like Resident Evil and Silent Hill and stuff. It's hard to deal with now. I feel like I have too much anxiety now to play horror video games. I said NYC because I'm from NYC. Fair enough. Yeah, I've never really hung out in NYC at all. I've been through New York City, but I've never really been there. I'm from Alabama. As you can tell by this A on the wall behind me, that's what the A stands for. Pharaoh Necho II allegedly funded a Phoenician expedition to circumnavigate Africa from the Red Sea through the Straits of Gibraltar. This is only attested by Herodotus. Um, cool, I guess. I don't know I don't know what any of that means, but I guess that's a fun history fact. What's your favorite 90s sitcom? I actually thought about this recently because I made a short about my favorite sitcom from every decade. And I came to the conclusion that my favorite 90s sitcom is Roseanne. And I did a video about Roseanne. Absolute goated show. Were you raised evangelical? I guess I'm not exactly sure what. I mean, I was definitely raised Christian. What makes, like, what graduates Christian into evangelical Christian? Like, what's the difference? But I was raised like very Christian for sure. I don't know why I thought you were gonna say Full House or A Different World. A Different World is one of my favorite sitcoms. Although A Different World, I think, is more of an '80s sitcom than a '90s sitcom. It might be like mid to late '80s. I can't remember the exact date, but it definitely started in the '80s and continued through the '90s. Um, but A Different World is one of my favorite shows for sure. Full House is fine. I wouldn't say it's like one of my absolute favorite shows. It's just kind of like a cheesy family sitcom, but it's fun to watch. They're an umbrella term for Protestants that believe in evangelizing or missionary work, basically. So I mostly went to a non-denominational Christian church, and like spreading the gospel was definitely a big part of it, but there was no pressure on anybody to do it. You know, like there was no people weren't expected to do like missionary work, and people weren't really expected to. No one was like checking to see if you were spreading the gospel. So I don't know how hardcore evangelical you have to be for it to count, but it was definitely taught that spreading the word was a thing you're supposed to do. Um, yeah, Iron Man versus Batman. Um, Batman is cooler than Iron Man, but I mean, Iron Man would destroy Batman in a fight. I don't like this. There's this idea that Batman can beat anybody in a fight because he's so smart, and if he has time to prepare, he can beat everybody, which is like maybe, but also all they have to do is land one punch on him and he's done. But Batman is like one of the coolest comic book characters ever of all time. Do you talk about your beliefs now? Yeah, I'll talk about pretty much anything if you have a specific question. I prefer to be asked specific questions, and that they're easier to answer. When you ask like really broad questions, it's hard to know what you actually want to hear, or even know like how to formulate the answer. But yeah, I'm not really shy about stuff. Have I played the Metal Gear Solid games? I absolutely have. Metal Gear Solid is probably my favorite video game series of all time. Um, and I've played most of them. I guess all of them. I mean, I played all of the main line games. Um, which would be well, I've never played. Well, Metal Gear Solid is kind of different from Metal Gear. I played the original Metal Gear. I've never played Metal Gear 2, but I played Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, as well as the PSP games Portable Ops and Peace Walker. And they're all good except Portable Ops is not that good. But outside of that, they're all really good. Have I played any good games recently? Like I said, I don't play a lot of video games. Um, I'm I just started a playthrough of Disco Elysium, which I have been streaming. Check me out on Thursdays if you want to watch that. I streamed some of it yesterday. It seems pretty good, but I just kind of started it, so I don't really know for sure. Um, I've been playing in the beta of 2XKO, which is the Riot Games fighting game, which I love fighting games, so I've been having fun with it. So those are probably the two most recent things I've been playing. Do you like meritocracy? I like the idea of meritocracy. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that we live in a meritocracy, though. How are you feeling about politics right now? The president is bumming me out really bad. Yeah, I would say the president is also bumming me out. Um, I mean, how you feel about politics right now is a very broad question. There's a lot of elements of politics. I don't like the way that political conversations usually happen, especially on the internet, which is why I don't know. I don't know how long people here have been following me, but I used to be a politics creator, and I basically retired from making politics content because I just hate the political community online. Not to say that I have become like apolitical, which is definitely not true, but yeah. Um, but yeah, we're in a fucked up situation right now. We've got sort of an authoritarian administration that is really stress testing the democracy that we supposedly live in. Are you playing Delta then? I'm I probably will play it. I haven't started it. I haven't got it yet though, but I definitely will play it. What do you think is going to happen to the Republican Party after Trump is gone? Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't predict the future, but I don't think that Trump's ideas are going to go away. I think Trump kind of proved that the Republicans can get away with a lot, and I think that they're going to try to take that ball, they're trying to take that baton and run with it for sure. What's the thing, movie, show, song that you really like but wouldn't consider part of your usual brand? I don't know. I don't know exactly what you consider my usual brand. I think based on what people know about me from the internet, there might be things that could be surprising to people, but as far as me, I think I'm just me and nothing is like a part is not a part of me because it's all me. Um but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what people think is my brand. I probably should know that as a person who does this for a living. I should probably know what my brand is, but um I don't know. I just like a lot. I have eclectic tastes. I like comic books and Marvel movies and pro wrestling and Dungeons and Dragons, but I also like college football. Um I like uh whiskey. I like hip hop, but I also like indie female led indie pop songs. So yeah, I don't know. What are your top 3 TGIF shows? Boy Meets World for sure. Probably Family Matters. Trying to think of all the shows. I don't know. There's a lot of shows, and I feel like most of them are just kind of okay. I'm gonna go with Sister Sister was on TGIF for a little while, so I'll say that. Would you rather have a permanent itch on your rear end or receive a wedgie every day for the rest of your life? Um, I'll take the wedgie. A permanent itch would probably like it would probably like drive me crazy. What do you think is the best fighting game series? I grew up on Tekken. The best fighting game series? Um, I don't know. It's hard for series. I probably would say Street Fighter. Street Fighter games are always solid. But I wouldn't say that any Street Fighter game is individually the best fighting game. But it's just a very consistently good series, I think. Um, I was gonna say Smash Bros, but I don't know. Smash Bros is like has a lot of ups and downs. And like Tekken, I think is good. And I think, for example, Tekken 7 is one of my favorite games of all time. But as a series, I don't know. Tekken is a pretty good series, though. I feel like there's a lot of forgettable games in the Tekken series. Like, no one talks about Tekken 4 or Tekken 5. Tekken Tag 1. Like, nobody talks about these games. Do you feel the American system of government will survive? Will we return close to the status quo? Will we fall to fascism? I think many things are possible. It just depends on what people do. I don't think anything is inevitable. I think it just depends on who fights the hardest, really. And I don't know. I've tried. I have kind of given up trying to predict what's going to happen with the government and with, especially with someone like Trump. I think Trump has been like the most unpredictable character that I've ever experienced politically. Do I stream gameplay too? Well, I have been streaming Disco Elysium on well, I'm my goal is to stream Disco Elysium on Thursdays, and when I finish that game, I'll see what the next game will be. But I have recently, like literally, I've done 2 streams so far, of gameplay of Disco Elysium. So if you're interested in that, check out the Thursday stream. Who am I playing in 2XKO? I'm going Echo Juggernaut. Right now, I'm just playing solo Echo because Echo was really the only character I was interested in playing. And I'm pretty sure that playing a solo character is much worse than having an assist or playing with 2 characters, but that's just what I'm into at the moment. I'll probably upgrade at some point. Someone else asking about Metal Gear Solid. I love Metal Gear Solid. I've played all of them. It's like my favorite series. What are my top 5 bands, artists? I know Outkast, Nirvana, and Lorde would be on there. Outside of that, I'm not sure. Maybe Lauryn Hill. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But those top 3 would definitely be in there. I go Boy Meets World, Family Matters, Step by Step. Yeah, that's fair. I never was quite as into Step by Step as some of the other shows, but I will say Step by Step had the best theme song for sure out of all the shows. Everyone sleeps on Soul Calibur Blade series. Soul Calibur's tight. I'll give you that. Do I go to any cons? I haven't been to a con in a long time. I would like to go to more cons. They're just very expensive, and I usually can't justify the expense. But I've been meaning to at least go to Dragon Con because it's near me. But yeah, I haven't been. Maybe next year. Can't wait to see what kind of cop you're shaping up to be. I don't know what that means. Ask me anything. What's your social security number and mother's maiden name? 555-5555-555. And mother's maiden name is 5. Oh, you mean by in Disco Elysium? Okay. Yeah, sometimes the questions or the comments are out of context, so I don't. A lot of comments are coming in, so I don't know the context. If you had to rank your favorite international cuisines by country, what would be in the top 3? I don't know. I love Chinese food. I don't know that I've really experienced a lot of international cuisine to really rank them. I eat Chinese food all the time. Indian food is good. Is good. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to even think of any that I've had. I mean, Mexican food is fine. I don't know if I like specifically love Mexican food, but it's fine. I guess Greek food's really good. I'll just say I'll go with Chinese, Indian, Greek. I've really had a lot of Jamaican food. I mean, my family, I've half of my family's from Panama, and there's like Panamanian food, but I feel like Panamanian food is kind of just like a mixture of um sort of Caribbean food and Latin American food. But you know, they have their own little twist that they put on it, but a lot of it is like very similar. Alice in Chains didn't make the top 5. Um no, Alice in Chains is fine though. I'm a big fan of I love grunge music. I kind of grew up listening to grunge, and I'm a big fan of it. If I listen to Aurora, I don't think so. What do you think of Until Dawn? I've never played Until Dawn. But yeah, as far as Disco Elysium, I'm trying to play. At least currently, I'm trying to be as competent and normal as possible. I'm trying to like actually like get people to like me and give me information. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Sometimes the game just like you know, the game forces you to be weird, but you know, that's just how it is. Thai and Vietnamese are pretty popular, but not widespread. Yeah, I've had some Thai and Vietnamese food, but I don't know if I've really had a lot of it. Due to Jamaican migrant workers going over to Panama and canal building days, I feel like some of the food is very similar. Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of people assume that my family is Jamaican or, you know, from the Caribbean islands, just because their culture is very similar. But I think once they like start speaking Spanish, that's when they realize like, oh, this might be a little bit different. My mom often has to correct people because they always say something like, "Oh, you're from the islands." It's like, no, Panama is not an island. She always had to correct people, I should say. R.I.P. Mama. Of course, you're a grunge fan, fellow child of the '90s, for sure. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of random that I even got into it because I went to a black school where the kids weren't really listening to grunge. It wasn't that cool. But luckily, I met a kid that was also like into alternative stuff, and that's how I like learned about grunge and Nirvana and Alice in Chains and stuff like that. Are you a fan of One Piece? I've never seen One Piece, and it seems very um I don't know. It's anime has never really been my jam, but especially when you tell me that there's a show that has like over 1,000 episodes, it's very intimidating. It's not encouraging for someone to get into something when you know that you'll probably never finish it. you haven't seen it, you should watch Attack on Titan. Yeah, a lot of people recommend that show. I haven't seen it. Yeah, especially if it's an anime, or especially if it's a more if it's an anime that has come out after like 2003, I probably haven't seen it. That's wild. Here in Canada, everyone was into grunge in the 90s, even the rap kids. Well, that's definitely not the case for me. uh, but I'm from the southern United States. I think I think black kids in the South were definitely kind of doing their own thing. I know we've had some one-off shows with a couple of singers, but if Chris Novoselic, Pat Smear, Dave Grohl got together full time to have them replace Kurt with new music / tour, how would you feel? I don't know. I would have to listen to it. It wouldn't be the same for sure. I mean, Nirvana, like Nirvana was Kurt Cobain's thing. Like he wrote the songs for the most part. And that was kind of what made Nirvana was like the songwriting. Like um but it's very possible that it would still be good. It just wouldn't be the same. But yeah, I mean, I don't judge things before hearing it. Like I would have to hear it. If it's good, it's good. You can't hate on something if it's good. I was born in 1985. What is my star sign? Gemini, I guess. I have seen Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. I've watched that on Cartoon Network. I felt like the show was pretty boring, but it has an absolute banger theme song. The music is so good. It's like it's probably my favorite, one of my favorite like themes to a show. Might not be your jam though, since Luffy is the cliche hero idiot trope. I know you said you didn't like Devil May Cry because you found Dante annoying. I mean, the Devil May Cry games are fun, I guess, but yeah, Dante is so obnoxious. If Luffy is similar to Dante, then I definitely would find him obnoxious. But I mean, it's a little bit different on a show than a video game because when you play a video game, you have to be the guy. But on a show, you don't have to be the guy. You just have to watch the guy. And there are like shows and movies that I watch where the main character is not likable, but I can still watch it because of other characters or just because the story is very compelling. But if I have to be that unlikable character, that's a little bit different. I like Dante as a character in Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3. Yeah, he was the best character, one of the best characters in that game. I played a lot of vanilla NBC3, and I mean She-Hulk, and then they just nerfed the absolute shit out of her in Ultimate, and so I didn't want to play anymore because that's the only character I wanted to be. Can you tell us something in your life that you're pumped / excited about right now? Um, I don't know. I'm excited to continue my D&D game. It's not really anything like super unique or special. We play every week, but it's like my favorite thing to do. So, best unlikable main character is The Sopranos. I feel like he was a little likable though. Ghost in the Shell had Yoko Kanno as the audio director from Cowboy Bebop. She picked Origa for the main theme and worked with the musicians for it. Yeah, I actually knew that. But yeah, that's, I don't know. That theme is so good. It's like, it gives me chills in terms of how good it is. I recall letting a character die in one of those choice-based games because I found them so annoying I didn't even try to save her. Yeah, I mean, I feel that. It's just like, you know, the original was the duck hunt dog. Everyone hated that dog, but you couldn't kill him. Do you enjoy drag shows? I've been to maybe like 5 or 6 drag shows in my life, and they're fun. Usually, I think it's just like any other type of show or presentation. You know, your mileage can vary. Some are more entertaining than others, but I would say on the whole, like they're fun. Tony Soprano was charming, but on the whole, is a real scumbum. Yeah, for sure. I mean, uh, there's no doubt about the fact that he was not a good guy. I haven't even seen all of Sopranos. I should finish it at some point. I was watching a Spike Dudley bump compilation, and not gonna lie, it was rough to watch. Know that new wrestling can look really fake at times, but I'm glad pro wrestlers aren't destroying themselves like in the past. Yeah, I mean, Spike Dudley was a really tough dude. I think that was just his thing, and he like apparently he would have to convince people to do that stuff to him because they didn't want to hurt him, and he would be like, "No, I can take it. It's fine." And another smart thing about Spike Dudley was he retired. He like retired before he like destroyed his body. He kind of knew when to get out. A lot of wrestlers just literally just um keep destroying their bodies until they barely can walk anymore. What about The Wire? I've actually never seen The Wire. I don't watch a lot of TV. If I watch TV, it's probably a sitcom. And these days, the only TV that I really watch is if I'm doing research for a video. I watch a ton of YouTube. That's kind of the main media consumption I do. I don't really watch a ton of movies or TV. I don't even listen to a lot of music. I watch YouTube all day though, and I watch sitcoms as research for my videos, and that's kind of it. I watch Marvel stuff, but that's kind of the only movies I watch. Although I still haven't watched Fantastic Four. I need to do that. kind of behind. What do you think of AJ Lee return to WWE for now? I was very, very excited to see AJ Lee come back because I never thought that that would happen. Um, AJ Lee kind of hard carried the women's division of WWE during her time. Um, and I think that I mean people give her flowers, but I think people don't really recognize her contribution to women's wrestling. Like she was part of the bridge between women's wrestling being like kind of a joke to being taken seriously. Like she was a big part of that. So um I was very excited for her to come back. And I think she's done her thing, you know, it's been fine. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if she's going to do more stuff or whatever, but we'll see, I guess. Have I seen Undone? Nope. I don't know what that is. Do you like Abbott Elementary? It's my favorite sitcom right now. So many of the main characters are autistic coded from my observation. I do like it. I haven't seen all of the episodes that have come out. I definitely have watched. I think it's a show that is getting better as it goes. Because I watched the first season, I was like, this is pretty okay. But then the second season is like better. But I need to finish it out. It reminds me a lot of Parks and Rec, which is like maybe my favorite show. Top two for sure. And it has that same sort of vibe. I never thought she would come back either. I figured she did it because Naomi went on maternity leave, but I'm sure she has deeper reasons. Yeah, I mean, I don't know her reasons. I'm sure CM Punk has a lot to do with it. Probably the fact that Vince is gone has a lot to do with it. And just the fact that they just treat women better in general now. Because I know she had a lot of criticisms for um, the way women were treated and like the fact that they were paid less and all kinds of stuff like that. But I don't know her heart or her mind, so I don't want to try to pretend like I know her reasoning. I hear you. I don't watch much TV these days either, but I put Sopranos, The Wire, Band of Brothers, and John Adams in my HBO must view before you die list. All among the best television ever created. Yeah, I mean, you know, most people agree with you on those. Especially, I mean, everybody talks about The Wire, and when Sopranos came out, I mean, Sopranos kind of sort of kicked off this sort of like golden era of television. I feel like I think people were like so into that show. Like people didn't like realize that you can make a show that good. I hope they keep up with the women only PLEs. The last one was great. I would like it every year. Yeah. In my opinion, the women are more entertaining than the men and have been for a long time. And there's like this new batch of women that are like really good. Like Lyra's really good and Stephanie Vaquer is really good. Like the NXT women are way better than the NXT men in my opinion. I'm pretty sure you have seen the reaction to the Riyadh Comedy Festival debacle. With Saudi Arabia pretty much buying up all aspects of entertainment, how are we as consumers supposed to respond? Um, well, I don't know. I don't want to tell like individuals what to do. At the end of the day, each person has to decide what their values are and what they stand for and what they can overlook. Um, I I don't know. I don't know if the onus is on consumers because consumers don't have a lot of choices a lot of the time. I have always been a big advocate of separating the art from the artist. So if someone makes something that's good, I think you're allowed to enjoy it, even if the people who make it aren't good. However, when it comes to something like the Riyadh Comedy Festival, those comedians, no one put a gun to those comedians' head and said that they had to go over there and do that. That's a choice that they made. Um, and I don't really think it's on the consumers to reckon with that. That's on them to reconcile that with their conscience. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I think it does kind of expose the fact that there's a price. Everyone has a price, I guess. Um, and to me, it exposes the fact that because a lot of the people that are going there are the people that have been screaming about free speech and all this and cancel culture, and they've been bought out by these people that really clearly don't give a shit about free speech. In fact, are you all know the whole story. So to me it exposes that it really wasn't about free speech, was it? Thanks for going live so I can remember to unfollow. ChatGPT users are such an ick. I feel like if you are so like emotionally fickle that whether or not someone uses ChatGPT is a reason to follow or unfollow, then that's fine. That is not a great loss to me. I don't want people to follow me based on anything except whether they like my videos. If 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 you require anything else out of me, then you can go ahead and unfollow at this point. Like I sort of opted out of purity tests a while ago. I have no interest in living up to other people's purity tests. I'm very happy with myself. So I if there's like a level of purity that you require your content creators to be at, just go ahead and assume that I don't meet it because I'm just a normal guy. I'm an imperfect person. I think it'd just be best to just assume that I don't meet your purity test. Kind of goes back to what we said about, just if you like the content, you like the content. If you don't, then you don't. That's fine. What do you think of the Breakfast Club podcast, the one with Charlamagne the God? I don't take them seriously, but sometimes watch them for entertainment. I don't really watch it that much. I mean, I don't really know that much about it, I guess. I know Charlamagne the God is I don't know, he can be kind of obnoxious sometimes. I think that he's a pretty good interviewer though. Like he's good at getting people to say interesting stuff and asking interesting questions. I think he has a lot of weird opinions on stuff, but outside of that, I don't really know. I don't watch it that much. And honestly, with the ChatGPT thing, most of the pushback I got from that were from people that clearly do not know what they're talking about. Like if you use ChatGPT and like know how it works and have investigated, all of the news and everything about how that works, and you still have criticisms, then it's cool. But if your whole opinion is based on nothing, it's just based on some stuff that you heard, you've actually never used it before, then I don't know. I have this rule I've been thinking about where I only it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but it's like I only have conversations with grown-ups. And to me, like, a grown-up is a person that, base their opinions on experience and facts, and doesn't just say the thing that they think they're supposed to say because of what everyone else says. And I think when you have that rule, you can just avoid a lot of internet drama because most people are just kind of blabbering without knowing what they're talking about. And you can, and if especially if you're experienced in something, you can usually tell when someone doesn't know what they're talking about. But if someone knows what they're talking about and they still disagree, that's interesting to me. I would love to have those kinds of conversations. Because when you talk about like ChatGPT and AI, there's plenty of critiques to be made. Um, and in my video, which is for those who don't know, I made a video about AI and stuff, and that's where this is coming from. And in the video, I talk about a lot of those problems and critiques with AI. But of course, people only focus on the part that triggers them or whatever. That sort of purity testing is why I don't want to get into streaming or politics. You could say all the right things, it'll never be good enough. Yeah, I mean that's a big part of why I stopped making videos about politics. I have like zero interest to be involved in political community. Every now and then there are things that become political, like AI has become political in many people's eyes, and so I dip my toe into that a little bit. But in general, yeah, I just have no interest. I just think people are ridiculous on the internet. There's just like no one has any interest in like being kind or being charitable or being making good faith arguments. Everyone just wants to scream at each other, and I just have no interest in that whatsoever. The guy's mad about the AI vid you just dropped where you're overtly critical about the misuse of AI in creative work. Yeah. The thing is, there's one line, literally one line in that video where I say that I am a user of ChatGPT, and that set off a lot of people in the comments. But again, when I look through the comments, I realize that a lot of the people clearly are somewhat ignorant about how ChatGPT works, which is why I say I only have discussions with grown-ups. And to be fair, I think a lot of this is based on like 2.5 years ago when ChatGPT first came out, or however long it was, like 2-3 years ago, when it was like in its infancy. I think people still think it is the same as it was like day one, which it really isn't. Did you know the guy that was naked as a baby on Nirvana's Nevermind album would go up to girls as a pickup line and say, Would you like to see my penis again? Is that true? Or is that a joke? Didn't they find that guy? Didn't they like interview him? Isn't he like... Hey T1J, hope you're doing well. Loved, hated your recent video on AI upscaling. Any fun weekend plans? Thanks for the kind words. First of all, weekend plans tomorrow. I'm hosting college football day. Gonna have some friends over and watch some football, and then on Sunday I'm playing D&D. So yeah, my weekend's gonna be fun. I'm a fan of Chet GPT, which is solely built on the speeches and writings of Chet Hanks. That sounds hilarious. I think there's plenty of room to be excited about what generative AI can do, and also hate how corporations are using it to steal from artists. Yeah, I mean, nuance is a thing that is lost on the internet, unfortunately. But like, you know, at the very least, I think people can just try to be charitable towards others. But that's just not what people like to do on the internet, which is why I just try not to engage when people are just being like clearly sort of bad faith or just being hateful or whatever. I honestly don't want that in my audience, really. So I don't want to like intentionally trigger people, but if I say something that sets people off, it's honestly like it's almost a little bit I have like a little hidden smile because it's like, oh, I'm rooting out the haters. I don't want the haters to be here. Like, I want the ship's computer from Star Trek, but I don't want to spike a community's bills. Not you hitting us with the meatloaf move in the title. Yeah. I wasn't thinking of that reference, but I guess that is exactly what it is, isn't it? Have I heard of Absolute Batman? I've heard of it. I don't really know what it is. I've heard some people talking about it. I'm not exactly. What's the difference? What is unique about it? What do you think of Daryl Davis, a musician that personally engages with fascists? Do you think him engaging and even befriending Klan members and Nazis that only a few de-radicalize is still a positive? Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. I haven't really followed Daryl Davis closely. I mean, I'm familiar with him. I don't know like how successful he's been, but I 100% have come to believe that compassion and kindness and meeting people where they are is much more effective at converting people than being an asshole and fighting and insulting people and violence and things of that nature. So in general, I support that sort of strategy. You know, obviously there's things to consider, like you have to consider safety and you have to consider the safety of not only yourself but people around you. You know, like if you If there is vulnerable community somewhere, you're not gonna bring some kind of violent fascist into the community or whatever. But as far as your own strategy for trying to convert people, I 100% think that using compassion and and empathy is better, personally. Which level 1 D&D spell would you most like to be able to cast in real life? Level 1 spell. I don't know. I have to think about what the spells are. It'd have to be like a utility type of spell. Wait, I want to look up the spells. Because you don't need, you don't need like an offensive attack type of spell, you know? You probably don't need like a defensive spell either, for the most part. Charm person, that would be really useful. Cure wounds could possibly be useful, but we kind of already heal. It just depends if you think you're gonna actually be seriously injured. Maybe disguise self could be useful. I don't know about that. I'm leaning towards charm person. Yeah, Goodberry could be useful. Grease, that'd be funny. Actually, if I could make good berries and nobody else could, that'd be an easy way to get rich. It'd be the ultimate diet food. Jump would be fun. I think charm person would be the most useful in life, although that could be considered on the unethical side. I think Goodberry was a really good answer. Except what? No, now I don't know what to ask. I don't know. Mage hand. Mage hand is a cantrip. I don't know if cantrips count. Maybe. I mean, um, I was specifically thinking of level 1 spells. There might be some useful cantrips though. FadeOX, thank you for the $5. Unsubbing because you used the wrong pronoun for Foucault once in 2006. Guess we're letting capitalism win now. This joke was written by ChatGPT. Damn. Honestly, sometimes when people leave sort of hate comments or like say hateful things, half the time I think they might just be trolling anyway, you know? Like imagine someone saying thanks for going live to to remind me to unsub. That doesn't sound like a real thing. Because if you were mad, you would have immediately unsubbed. I think I just got trolled and was successfully baited into responding. It's an alternate universe where Darkseid created for the heroes, where evil and corruption is much harder to conquer and is most likely to win. In regards to Batman, he's no longer rich and is just an engineer that just so happens to be almost 7 foot and is more brutal with his enemies. His enemies, especially Bane, is more threatening. Oh, so it's just like Batman but grittier. The problem with jump is the landing. True. I would hope that the spell would take care of that, but maybe not. This isn't Ask Me Anything, so I can ask this question. Would you rather give the homie head or watch your girl do it? Um, I don't um I don't have a problem with polyamory, so the girl can do it. What is that question? Yeah, I think people try to um people want to stump you with a weird question, but half the time you just I don't know, you just answer it. I heard a rumor that Wonder Woman Zeus' child, so is she an archetype of Sarah, Jesus, and Mary Mag's child? Well, wait, what? I mean, in Greek mythology, Zeus had a bunch of children, so it's probably just a reference to that. Well, we know what "except" that refers to as we type it, or is it more esoteric? I don't know. There's only one way to find out. There are definitely there are definitely things that I won't answer, but I'll answer probably like 90% of questions if I see it. Like if there's something that will get the stream taken down, I probably won't answer. And there's like one or two topics that I don't talk about on the internet just because it always results in people being weird. Um and weird in like a sort of a very depressing way. And then I won't answer things that dox myself or other people. So that's about it. I don't really consider myself to be a very private person. Like I'm fairly open about stuff. Um yeah. Have you ever been to Canada? If not, want to come? I have never been to Canada. I would love to go to Canada. Um, Traveling more is something that I would like to do more of in the near future. I've not really been able to travel outside of the United States, and that's something I would like to do. But yeah, it, I just have to figure out the logistics of all that, figure out how much it's going to cost, and what I need to do, and if I have the time and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would love to. Canada's easy mode nearly identical to U.S. culturally. Yeah, I mean that's what it seems like. I know that there's, I mean, culturally, just like the U.S., there's a lot of different cultures, and I'm sure it's the same in Canada. And sometimes I'll see Canadian media, and it'll be like very similar, but then it'll be just like one or two things that's like, oh, that seems very Canadian. And then there are some shows that seem just very Canadian to a level that I don't really identify with. But sometimes I watch a lot of comedy, so it's probably like exaggerated. Like I'm a big fan of the show Letterkenny, and when I watch that show, I'm like, man, this show seems Canadian as fuck. I don't know if people act like that in Canada, but it you definitely don't see too many people like that in America. But it's a hilarious show. What are your thoughts on Will Smith? I mean, I don't know him. I think he's a brilliant actor, and he just seems like a troubled guy. And I will say that my enthusiasm for him dipped after the Oscars incident. But I don't know. He seems like he's been through a lot, and I think he seems like a troubled guy. And I hope that he figures that shit out. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, he seems like a perfectly nice guy, and he's a really good actor. If you wind up in France, you got to check out Mont Saint Michel if you like architecture. I mean, I can appreciate architecture. I don't know a lot about it, but I can appreciate a building that looks cool. Letterkenny is 100% over the top and 100% rooted in reality. I mean, I know what you mean. I can understand that. I love it though. That show is absolutely hilarious, especially like the first few seasons. It's like laugh out loud funny. I also love Schitt's Creek, which is also a Canadian show. I think Schitt's Creek is one of my favorite shows ever, and that's a show that it doesn't you don't really tell you can't really tell that it's Canadian unless you know it is. And the only time you can tell when that show is Canadian is when some of the actors speak and they say sorry or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, this is Canadian. Or if they say, I know that the stereotype is that Canadians say a boot, but I think it's closer to a boat. A boat. But yeah, that's the only time that I didn't know it was a Canadian show at first, but then when I like listened closely, it's like, oh yeah, these people are definitely Canadian. Was there ever a point of time as a young guy that you ever questioned whether or not both men and women can be friends? I had to mentor a little cousin of mine that you don't want to have that mindset. I probably thought that at some point in my life. I had a lot of really toxic ideas about men and women when I was like in college. But yeah, these days I fully think that's nonsense. Like, of course, men and women can be friends. That's it's a very stupid to think otherwise. I kind of feel sorry for you if you think that you can't be friends with someone just because they're not the same gender as you. I think you're just missing out on friendship. And I think it's different. I think having man friends is different than having woman friends, but that doesn't mean that they're not friends. Will Smith makes me sad. Guy's been in the clutches of Hollywood since he was a kid, and clearly some damage has been done. Yeah, I think also it just seems like his relationship with his wife is just super dysfunctional. That's what it seems like. Obviously, I don't know them, but that's what it seems like. I really just need to know if "How are you now" is genuinely a very common greeting in part of Canada. Well, it looks like we got a Canadian in the chat. Maybe they can answer. Your video on Schitt's Creek was fire. I appreciate that. I'm glad that that people liked it because I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna care about Schitt's Creek because there's not that many videos about Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek was weird. It amalgamated a very American portrayal of wealth and affluence into a very Canadian small town setting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how true that is to Canadian people, but I think it translated perfectly to American audiences, which is probably why it ended up being so popular in America. Because we American people didn't really watch that show until it was on Netflix. I don't even know if it came. It probably came on American TV at some point, but we didn't really get it until it was put on Netflix. In my experience online, you can tell a Canadian by the way they say baggage, baggage. Do they say that? I wouldn't say it's common, but it's definitely a thing. The Canadian aboot is absolutely a thing, but there's a local dialect and accent nuance, and it's absolutely fascinating at a level it takes a dedicated linguist to unpack. Yeah, I would like to see. I've seen so many videos about the variety of American dialects and accents, and I've seen so many videos about the variety of British dialects and accents, but I've never seen one about a variety of Canadian dialects and accents. I would like to learn more about that because I'm sure it's just as varied as anything else. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a lot of variety in the way that Canadians talk because Canada is so big, but there's not that many people there. So I imagine that there are a lot of different communities are very isolated from each other. It's just kind of a thought I had. I could be way off base, but I could see like a lot of different cultures sort of building apart from each other. A boat. I want to learn how to do a Canadian accent. I've been practicing accents for my D&D game so I can play different NPCs, but I'm not very good at it. How are you now? Good and you? Oh, not so bad. We had a guy in our lab that was the A stereotype to a T, but my West Coast experience in BC, I've never heard it. They definitely say A. That's definitely real. I've uh I've spoken with and heard Canadians speak, and a lot of them do say a lot, which I think is cool. Who are some smaller YouTubers you'd like to shout out and get more eyes on? Smaller YouTubers? Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I watch so much random YouTube, but I do think most of the YouTubers I watch probably would not be considered small. I don't know. All of the channels that I can think of that I watch are probably not small. Because I feel like if you make really good videos, you probably will grow an audience eventually. I think that more people should watch the Blood on the Clock Tower YouTube channel, but that's very, very niche. So you would only watch it if you were specifically interested in Blood on the Clock Tower, which is a social deduction game. Um, but it's an amazing, detailed social deduction game that's been picking up steam over the last few years. And they have their own YouTube channel where they basically just stream, like basically a bunch of experienced players streaming the game and other news related to the game. And it's a small channel, but it's good. But you would only watch it if you were interested in that. I will shout out actually Magdalene Rose is a small channel you should probably check out. She's been trying to grow her channel lately. She's been seeing a little bit of success lately, so you can check her out. She makes, and her videos are she's very varied. Lately, she's been on a sort of like kick where she makes videos about like history. Like she had a video that did pretty well about um Victorians, and she compared millennials to Victorians, and it was a pretty interesting video. So check out Magdalene Rose. Oh fuck yeah, bud. A is 100% a thing. Yeah, bud is also a thing. People say bud a lot. I don't know if that's like a certain generation that says that more than others. But yeah, I hear bud a lot. But I think people in America say bud too sometimes, depending on where you go. Bud or buddy. What are your thoughts on chimps? Would you risk engaging with one that's already an adult? Hell no. A chimp will rip your head off, bro. There's too many stories. Well, not too many, but there's several stories of chimps that, for all intents and purposes, were friendly with people, and then they just have one bad day and then they tear your face off. Create Curiosity is the homie. Thanks for becoming a member. You now will have a little cute T1J icon by your name, and you can use our custom emotes. And I'm working on making new emotes for members. But yeah, if you don't know, that's another way you can support the channel is becoming a member. If you just want it's just a way to support, and you get some new icons. And also, when you comment on the channel, your little icon will pop up. Rise Urban Nation is good for people trying to better themselves on many different levels. Is that... Do they have a YouTube channel? Or are you just seeing the organization in general? How do you feel about the Kurt Cobain death conspiracy? Do you mean the fact that that someone killed him? I don't know. I have no idea. I tend to just go with what everyone says is the truth. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. It is a YouTube channel. Oh, okay. Jordan Peele has single-handedly done more damage to the PR for chimps than any man in history. Yeah, he certainly didn't help. But the thing is, that type of shit happens. It has happened before. I mean, maybe not specifically on stage in front of an audience, but there's a famous story about a chimp like ripping a lady's face off. And of course, didn't Bubbles, Michael Jackson's chimp, like break his arm or some shit? I never signed up for a membership during a live. I actually jumped when you said my name. Oh, my bad. I always wonder when people do stuff, do they actually want to be acknowledged? I just assume that that's part of it. I do have private donations, though, for people that don't want to be acknowledged. I think it should be in the description of the video. Do creators get 100% of membership funds? Unfortunately, we do not. YouTube takes a cut. But I'm pretty sure we get like 70%. It's a big percentage. I could be wrong though. I need to check that out. But I do think we get the majority of it. But yeah, YouTube takes a cut. You can also sub to Patreon if you don't want to be shouted. Yeah, I think actually, I don't know if Patreon, I might have it so that Patreon does actually show up on the screen when people join, but I don't remember if that's still set up. But you know, when I like donate to people and stuff like that, I like to be acknowledged, but that could just be me. I'm kind of an attention seeker, so I probably shouldn't project like that. Are there any conspiracies that you actually invested in, really went down the rabbit hole of? Not gonna lie, I feel like conspiracy can be entertaining, but there's an obvious line that you shouldn't cross. Um, I can't think of anything recently. I will say it's not a conspiracy, I guess, but I went on a rabbit hole um reading and watching videos about Mormonism recently. Mormonism is wild. Um I didn't realize that it was as wild as it is. I thought it was just kind of like this group of eccentric Christians, but it is so much more than that. Then I guess sub to Patreon when not live streaming. Yeah, I mean, do what you want to do. I assume that there are people that don't want to be acknowledged, and that's fine. You didn't mind getting called out, just wasn't expecting. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't mean to imply that you did, but yeah. And I just want to thank people for doing it. I think that it's a very cool thing to do. So I would like to personally thank people when they do it. You can also gift memberships, by the way. I'm pretty sure you can at least. I don't know how to do it. I think you can. Um, I don't think I think you can like just randomly gift a few memberships to people if you want. I'm working on thinking of other sort of perks for being a member, but for now you get your name is green and you get the little T1J head, and the longer that you're a member, the icon will transform. So if you stay a member for a month, I think it'll like get color, and then it'll get more and more awesome the longer you stay a member. Did you see the new Naked Gun movie? I didn't see it. The trailers made it look like it would be funny though. I'm really curious to know what that is, but I know I can't ask without violating the rules against asking. Yeah, it's a catch 22 in it. It's like a never-ending paradox loop. I'm ambivalent about the shout out, but it's probably a good policy. Thanking folks is good. If for no other reason, then it's nice to be nice. Sure. I will say also super chatting and and joining is also a good way to guarantee that I respond to your question. So if it's really important to you that I see and respond to your question, that's a good way to do it. Not that that's super important, but some people just want to be seen, and that's fine. So instead, thoughts on Jack Donaghy as simultaneous classic pulp romance hero and Randian Superman at the same time, and the implications for Liz's character. I don't know. That's like a essay topic. Um, I don't know. I've never thought about Jack Donaghy like that, I guess. But I feel like the point of that show is, and there's probably parallels to other media, but like Jack and Liz are both like kind of shitty people. And over the course of the show, they come together, and through their friendship, they kind of teach each other to be less shitty. And I think that's kind of the point of their dynamic. And they're coming from like different arenas. Like Jack kind of thinks that he's the shit, while Liz is more of a more pessimistic and self-loathing. But I feel like I'm not really answering the thing that you said, but that's that's just what it made me think about. That's honestly maybe a good video. Not gonna lie, I find the band Imagine Dragons to be extremely bland and boring. Finding out that the members of that band grew up as Mormons explained everything to me. Yeah, they are Mormons, aren't they? I I don't have any problems with Imagine Dragons. I feel like that song, at least that first song, I don't know if it was the first song, but it was the first song that I became aware of, the Radioactive song. I feel like that song goes hard. I like that song. But I think a lot of their stuff kind of sounds the same. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of people, it is very common for people to hate Imagine Dragons. And it reminds me of the hate that people had for Nickelback, which was also very curious and inexplicable to me. And in both cases, both bands have been like incredibly successful, despite the fact that it seems like nobody likes them. So I don't know. Did you watch Roseanne while you were growing up, or did you find it later in life? Not sure if you're as old as I am. Lol. Loved your breakdown of the blue collar themes of it. I watched it, so I didn't watch it as it aired because I was like 3 when it aired, or at least when it first aired. But I watched reruns of it for sure. When I was a kid, and I've watched it, many times over the years, including as an adult. But I definitely grew up watching it. Yeah. It's one of those shows that when I was a kid, I would have never thought that I would like it, because it's, it just seems like it was just a bunch of white people like being sad, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. I want to watch like fucking Martin and Friends and stuff. But I had a friend that was really into Roseanne, and she was like, yeah, you gotta watch Roseanne. It's actually good. It's like, what do you mean Roseanne is good? And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is good. So it's amazing. And over time, it's become one of my favorite shows ever. Any new videos in the works that you're excited about? I have ideas. I don't like spoiling upcoming ideas, but I will say that I have ideas, and I have a list of shows that I would like to cover. And I also have ideas for shows that I've already covered that I would like to cover again from a different angle. I want to try, like, I'm still, I think like the channel has been doing okay lately. The viewership is okay, but I'm still trying to figure out how to get to the next level of YouTube. Like, I want to be one of those YouTubers that can like get like real views. Like, not real views, but like I want to get like millions of views, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that in this niche. So I'm trying different ideas. I don't necessarily have to get them like millions of views, but like I just feel like there's more reach that I could be getting. And I fear that the type of stuff that I do now has sort of a cap on how interested people are in it. So I'll be trying a lot of different stuff. But I'll probably still do the type of stuff that I've been doing, the retrospectives, analysis, just telling stories, that sort of stuff. But I don't like to spoil the exact topics. Do you have like a dream sitcom idea / concept bouncing around in your head that you'd love to see someone produce? A dream sitcom? I don't know. Um, I've had ideas for sort of narrative series and stuff, but I don't know if I would describe it as like a dream sitcom idea. And things that there's things that have come out that are close to things that I wish that someone would do. Like for example, I love the show Blackish. Like I always said, if I was gonna make a show at one point in my life, it probably would have been very similar to Blackish. Like I like the sort of nuanced discussions of race that show has without being preachy and without like being like super like annoyingly sort of moralistic. It's just sort of like nuanced like humorous discussions of race, and I like that about that show. And it's like, well, I guess I don't have to make it because they already did. Um, Also, The Good Place is a show that's like very similar to something that I always wish someone would do. Was just imagine someone like just like an afterlife story in that way. I've thought about doing something like that like since I was a kid, and it's like cool that someone did it. Um, I A job that I had growing up, like the sort of the idea of the workplace comedy is now like a big thing ever since like The Office and Parks and Rec and stuff. And I worked at bars for several years, and I know there's shows that take place at bars or that are about people that work at bars. Like obviously Cheers is one of them. But I specifically worked security at a bar, and I think it would be cool to see a show about bouncers or like people who work security at bars. That would be an interesting thing. I wouldn't say it's like my dream sitcom idea, but that would be a cool idea. I don't know if that's been done before. Because when you work the door at a bar, you interact with a lot of wacky people and you get involved in a lot of weird situations. It's like perfect for a sitcom. So I don't know if someone gave me a bunch of money to make a pilot, I think that's probably what I would do. The bouncer show. Honestly, maybe I could get Nebula to fund it. The thing is, I don't really have much of a desire to be a director. I don't really like want to make films. I just want to write it. Like someone else make it, I'll write it though. Like maybe after I get more experience seeing the transition from writing to film, then maybe. But as of now, being a director seems so stressful and so like it just seems like a skill set that I can't even comprehend. So I have a lot of respect for good directors or like just good TV producers. It's I feel like that's hard to do. I don't know. I think I'll probably stream for about 15 more minutes. I've got to I've got to do some cleaning for my gathering tomorrow. I do have speaking of my new video, there should be a new video soonish. So look out for that. I guess it depends on your directorial style. From a commercial I was in, I can tell is pretty obtuse and hard to deal with in terms of stage direction. Oh, you're in a commercial? Yeah, there are definitely different styles. I've heard that actors don't like to be told what to do or like actors like to have the freedom to interpret their characters and their dialogue in a way that feels true to them. They don't like when directors tell them how to do it. That's what I've heard, at least. I'm not sure if anyone will ever top. Does DJ have to kiss a dumb girl? No offense, Bob. Wait, what is that from? But if you write something, I'll watch it. I may or may not be involved in writing something interesting soon. I cannot confirm that that is happening, but I am working on it. If there's more information about it, I'll let you know. But yeah, I'm interested in writing. I like writing. That's my favorite part of being a content creator is writing. Like honestly, I I sometimes wish that I could just write for another YouTuber, but then, then someone else would get all the glory. Oh yeah, that was from that I remember. I thought it was Roseanne, but I couldn't put it together which one it was. As a kid, I took everything I was told very literally. Yeah, I'm sure there's some leeway when you're a kid. I was a big fan of DJ. Like I'm like very picky when it comes to child actors. I feel like most child actors are like obnoxious, but that kid who played DJ absolutely killed it. I guess he's not a kid anymore, but he was at the time. Sabrina the Teenage Witch was my favorite. Family Matters became unbearable towards the end. I don't blame the mom for leaving that show. Um, honestly, Family Matters became very weird, but in my opinion, it never stopped being funny. I thought it was always funny, even to the very end. But it definitely became very bizarre and just like truly WTF. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I liked it, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I don't think it was ever my favorite though. Sorry for Roseanne Focus. It's how I found your channel, and I watch your vids about it on stream. It's my hyperfixation. Oh, don't you don't have to apologize. I love Roseanne. I just yeah, I you know the chat's going by and I sometimes forget what we're talking about. And it's been a while since I've like just sat down and watched Roseanne, like at length. I always like watch episodes here and there. Um but I should just sit down and watch it in full again. Cuz I've done that for other shows. Like I recently watched Seinfeld in full. I watched Boy Meets World in full like 3 times in the past like couple years. I watched Schitt's Creek in full pretty recently, but it's been a while since I've done that for Roseanne. DJ got done dirty in the Connors. I feel like everybody got done dirty in the Connors. I haven't seen all of the Connors though. On the Connors, they just truly were like, this show is nobody is going to no one is going to be happy on this show. That's just going to be the ethos. And honestly, that's kind of what that was the ethos of Roseanne too. Like, and it was kind of real because that's kind of how it is when you're poor. Like, you just stay poor and life remains hard until you die. And I tend to like more optimistic shows, but if it's real, it's real. But sometimes I feel like the Connors was just like it just bordered into like melodrama, and it's like okay. Schitt's Creek is such a good show. I 100% agree. I think it's one of my favorite shows. And I would have never really given Schitt's Creek a chance, but one of my friends introduced it to me. Basically made me watch it, and I sort of reluctantly watched it. And I was like, wait a minute, this show is awesome. Connors felt like no one was true to their original character. Every character was just a vehicle to make a political point and not much more. Yeah, I mean, I think they sort of intentionally wanted to reimagine the characters. because it's like, you know, they're adults now, so it's like, what would they be like as an adults? Or you know, like the kids are adults. But yeah, I don't know. I watched a little bit of the Conners. I haven't seen all of it. I'm not even really sure where they go with it. Another under the radar but rather good Canadian sitcoms is Kim's Convenience. Yeah, that's one I need to. Well, I haven't watched that. A lot of people have suggested that to me, and especially a lot of people who like Schitt's Creek, or who when they find out you like Schitt's Creek, they say you should try Kim's Convenience. It's another good Canadian sitcom. So that's on my list too. I need to watch that. The stream just stuttered for a second. There's so many shows to watch. I wish I could just watch shows and get paid for it, which is honestly kind of what I do. But the thing is, I can't watch. I have to watch a show that is relevant to a video that I'm going to make. And not every show that I would like to watch is necessarily a show that I need to make a video about. Like I have such a long list of shows to watch. And there's shows that I grew up watching that I need to rewatch that I haven't seen since I was a kid. And then there's shows that I haven't seen before that I would like to watch. Like I want to rewatch Married with Children. I want to watch The Nanny, The Wonder Years. Wait, where's my list? Reno 911, That 70s Show, Last Man on Earth, Veep. I've got a lot of shit I want to watch. Have you ever watched Alien Nation from the 80s? It wasn't long lived, and it was very 80s in its language and such, but eventually starts making some really good points about immigration. I have not watched that. No. Sounds interesting though. Last Man on Earth is great. Yeah. It seemed really cool. I never saw it though. I talked about this before, but I also would like to cover more black sitcoms on my channel. I'm a little afraid to, because I'm not sure that my this 80% white audience grew up watching these shows like I did, but I'm sure that there's a few that I could do. Like that, everybody has watched Family Matters. Everybody has watched like Cosby Show or whatever. But there's a lot of like I want to do like Living Single is a big one. I want to do a video about Living Single, but I'm afraid that no one will click on it because that show meant, I think every black person in America watched that show, but I don't know how many white people watched it. And there's some that were like pretty popular. Like usually when I talk to white people, they usually have seen like Moesha. They probably have seen Martin. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. I might find a way to. I want to do just like a series on black sitcoms because I feel like people don't talk about them enough, and a lot of them were like really cool, even if they weren't that popular. Different Worlds, another great one. I watched almost no sitcoms willingly. Star Trek was my sitcom. I still watch your videos so I can understand why people like sitcoms. Well, I'm glad you still watch. I think people watch sitcoms because they're funny, but also sitcoms probably more than anything else are very, very character driven. Um, and they're really good at making you fall in love with a cast of characters. And so it's like it almost doesn't matter what the plot of the show is because you just love the characters so much, so you don't like they can do anything and you still watch. And I think sitcoms are really good at that. Black sitcoms that all white people watch: Cosby, Family Matters, Martin. Yeah, maybe I should do a video about Martin. I feel like Martin was really popular. But I'll have to rewatch it because I don't think I've watched it since I was a kid. But that show was great. That show was so funny. But you don't really hear people talking about it these days. But also that's one of the challenges of being a content creator, and a lot of that's on me. Like it's on me to make you care, you know. I don't necessarily. I mean, there's a level of picking topics that people would be interested in, but there's also a level of me selling the idea to you and proving or like trying to convince you that this is actually going to be an interesting video. So, you know, a lot of it's on me. I think maybe Martin doesn't hold up as well. I mean, maybe. I'm not super concerned about that. Like I believe we consider things in their context. Oh yeah, Fresh Prince, definitely everybody watched that. And that's a show that people still talk about. I wonder what causes certain shows to remain in the zeitgeist and others don't. I mean, maybe it's just in where they were broadcast and where the reruns were shown. Because people still talk about Fresh Prince all the time. Maybe just because Will Smith has remained relevant. I'm not sure. I remember having to beg my mom to watch In Living Color during family TV time, and she ended up liking it. But that's when I first realized she was racist. She didn't want to watch because black people. I mean, I think that's a common thing. And I don't know your mom, but I could totally see some white people just assuming that they won't like a show because it's black people. And it may not necessarily be because of racism. It just could be, this doesn't seem like something I relate to. It's just like what I said earlier about Roseanne. I did not expect to like Roseanne because I just saw a bunch of sad white people. And I was like, this doesn't seem like I relate to this. But I watched it and I liked it. So again, I don't know, you know that maybe this is not just an isolated incident. There's more instances, but and Live in Color was awesome though. That show was also hilarious, also very irreverent, and probably a lot of stuff that doesn't hold up that well. But I remember definitely cheeks hurting from laughing at that show. I think Fresh Prince, Cosby, and Family Matters all stuck because they were that typical 90s sitcom cozy family vibe, the kind of people you want to be around. Yeah, I guess family shows probably lasted longer, but I don't know though. It probably just depends. Like for example, you hear people talk about Family Matters and Full House a lot, I guess. Yeah, maybe I think Family Matters were probably easier to sell for syndication than some of these other shows. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I'm not totally sure. Um, but I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and end the stream. Um, for one, I got to use the bathroom really bad, so it's a good time to go. But also got some stuff to do. Thanks everyone for checking out the stream. As always, it's a cool conversation. As always, um, I'm going to be continuing my playthrough of Disco Elysium on stream next Thursday around 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you're interested in that, come and check that out. And I'll do another stream like this, another Ask Me Anything stream the following day, next Friday. That's the plan. The best way to make sure you don't miss it is to make sure you have all notifications turned on YouTube, or you can join the Discord. And I always tell people when I go live on Discord. Discord's also just a cool, chill place to have conversations with people. Also going to have another video this month for sure, so keep a lookout for that. I can't really tell you the exact date. It's just whenever I'm done with it. And I guess that's about it. Thanks for those that donated and joined. And just remember to be kind to each other. We're living in a fucked up world these days, and I think the world just needs more kindness and empathy and compassion. I think people are losing it, and I encourage you all to continue to be kind to each other. And that's all I got to say. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.